Diego Rivera was born December 8, 1886, in Guanajuato, Mexico. Throughout his life, he sought to make art that reflected the lives of Mexican people. Rivera began drawing as a child. He studied art at San Carlos Academy of Fine Arts while in his teens, and then traveled to Europe to live and work on his art. He had some success as a Cubist painter, but the course of world events would strongly change the style and subject of his work. Inspired by the political ideals of the Mexican Revolution in 1914 and 15 and the Russian Revolution in 1917, Rivera wanted to make art that reflected the lives of the working class and native peoples of Mexico. Rivera believed that all people, not just people who could buy art or go to museums, should be able to view art that he was creating. He began painting large murals on walls in public buildings. Rivera's first mural, The Creation, in 1922, in the Bolivar Amphitheater at the University of Mexico, was the first important mural of the 20th century. Rivera had a great sense of color and an enormous talent for structuring his works. In his later works, he used historical, social, and political themes to show the history and life of the Mexican people. In the 1930s and 1940s, Rivera traveled to the United States, where he was commissioned to paint several murals. In 1932, at the height of the Great Depression, Rivera arrived in the city of Detroit. This work was to be dedicated to the American worker and was to be painted on the walls of the Detroit Institute of Arts. Completed in 1933, the piece depicted industrial life in the United States, concentrating on the car plant workers of Detroit. During this time, Rivera's radical politics and independent nature had begun to draw criticism. Rivera was a known communist and a member of the Mexican Communist Party. He had also visited Russia to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution. Though the fresco was the focus of much controversy, Edsel Ford, Henry's son, defended the work, and it remains today Rivera's most significant painting in the United States. Rivera, however, did not fare so well in his association with the Rockefellers. He was hired by the family to paint a mural on the ground floor wall of Rockefeller Center in New York City. The theme of the piece, Man at the Crossroads, was to depict the social, political, industrial, and scientific possibilities of the 20th century. The mural depiction of a Russian May Day parade with workers and people living in harmony was provocative, but what would cause the most controversy was Rivera's inclusion of an image of the Russian communist leader, Vladimir Lenin. This section showed Lenin joining hands in power with a black farmer, a white worker, and a soldier. The presence of Lenin in the painting hinted at an anti-capitalist flavor unpopular in America. Nelson Rockefeller requested that Rivera replace the image of Lenin. Rivera refused, but offered to add Abraham Lincoln to the work as a way of compromise. The Rockefellers ordered all the work to stop. Rivera was paid the $14,000 remainder of his $21,000 fee, and he was dismissed. Within an hour, the mural was covered over by new canvas panels. Rivera wished to get a few pictures taken of his work, but photographers were banned from the center. Somehow, a diversion was created, and one of Rivera's assistants, Lucien Bloch, snuck a camera into the building and took some pictures of the unfinished work. At midnight on Saturday, February 9, 1934, the mural was destroyed and chunks of plaster carted off in 50-gallon oil drums. These pictures are all that remain of the mural. Rivera was determined to recreate his painting, so he reproduced the work under the name Man Controller of the Universe. This painting can be seen in the Palace of Fine Arts in Mexico. His personal life was as dramatic as his artwork. In 1929, he married fellow artist Frida Kahlo. She was 20 years his junior. The two had a passionate but stormy relationship, divorcing once in 1939 and remarrying in 1940. Kahlo, who survived a devastating trolley car accident when she was 15, lived with extreme pain throughout her life. She died in 1954 at the age of 47. Rivera would write that Kahlo's death was the most tragic day of his life, adding that too late he had realized that most of the wonderful parts of his life had been his love for her. Six months after her death, Rivera was diagnosed with cancer. He proclaimed, "What a damn bother," and continued painting. A year later, he married his longtime art dealer, Emma Hurtado. The couple went off on a long tour of Eastern Europe and the Soviet Union. After returning to Mexico, he would revisit another controversial work. It was entitled Dream of a Sunday Afternoon in Alameda Park. The painting had enraged Catholics when Rivera had inserted the words, "Dios no existe," God does not exist. Rivera had refused many requests to remove the words, and the mural remained draped for 9 years. After removing them, he held a press conference to announce to his Mexican people, "I am a Catholic." Diego painted to the end of his life. His last paintings were of the indigenous people of Mexico. They were the most consistent love of his life, the true citizens of his Mexican landscape. Rivera remained a central force in the development of a national art in Mexico. He died in 1957 at the age of 71, painting in his studio.